from Music in Our Homeschool here, and I am here to talk about love music to share with your kids for Valentine's Day. It's the Share the Love weekend here at the Top Picks Homeschool Curriculum Fair. So I would like to start out today giving you some tips on how to actually include classical music in your homeschool, and then we'll talk about some specific music to listen to and enjoy with your kids. So if you are one of those people that maybe doesn't enjoy classical music, or you haven't listened to it very often, you might be thinking, I don't even want to listen to it. Why? How am I going to get my kids to? And even why should I? Well, classical music is part of the culture and part of history, and it's beautiful. It gives you an opportunity to learn about music in general, to learn about instruments, to learn about composers. A lot of times the styles of the music go along with the history and the art history and the literature that's written during a certain particular time period. So those are some reasons why you might want to include it. My goal is to help you and your kids appreciate it. Maybe you won't end up loving opera or loving symphonies, but at least if you understand it enough and have heard enough to appreciate it, that's my goal. So how are you going to include classical music in your homeschool? So here's a few tips. Where I include it personally is during our morning time. That's the time when I have all my kids together. Right now I still have 6 at home that I'm homeschooling. But by the point where I usually am doing the music appreciation, I have my 2 elementary kids together. I'm personally using the membership that I've written called Music in Our Homeschool Plus, which will open up for membership again in April. So I'll be back to talk about that later. But what I do is I just play the lesson, and oftentimes it includes some classical music, and then we're hearing it for maybe 5 or 10 minutes during that lesson. So it's really simple and easy. So morning time or morning basket time is one option. Another idea is to do it during your meal time, maybe during breakfast or lunch. Just if you have an Alexa or a Google Home in the kitchen like I do, just say, Google, play Beethoven. And then you can just simply listen to some classical music while you're enjoying your lunch. Another fun time to listen to classical music is during bath time. If you're giving your babies or your toddlers or preschoolers baths, just turn on some music while you're doing that. Playtime is a great time to have music playing in the background. If your kids are playing Legos or building blocks or something like that. Or during craft time. Do you have a time during the day where you're doing art or arts and crafts? Turn on some music while you're painting and sewing and crocheting. Poetry tea time has gotten very popular. So simply the very easiest way to do a poetry tea time is to make some snacks or buy them and read a couple of poems or one poem. And as you're sitting with your kids around maybe a decorated table or using fancy dishes, turn on classical music while you do your poetry tea time. A couple more options. When you're riding in the car, turn on your classical music station, or if you have Sirius FM, turn on one of those classical stations or opera or symphonies and listen for maybe even just 5 minutes while you're driving in your car. The last option I had was to do it during your read aloud time. If you're reading a literature book or a history book or something like that, you can just turn on some quiet classical music in the background. So now let's talk about some specific music you can listen to. And I have been really having fun coming up with some kind of like love theme music for Valentine's Day. The first one I want to mention is some love music that's from movies. So if you go to musicinourhomeschool.com/Valentine's music lesson, and there's not an apostrophe in that one, you'll find some movie music to listen to. The first one is a medley of Disney love songs sung by an a cappella group. The second one is the theme from Titanic, My Heart Will Go On, which is played by a violin solo with an orchestra in the background, and it has ice skaters dancing around him. Really love that video. And the third one is classical guitar playing A Time for Us, which is the theme from the Romeo and Juliet movie. So that is a really fun 15-minute music lesson that you can do for Valentine's Day. The second one, and by the way, all of these links are listed in the description so you can find them easily. The second one is 12 love songs from musicals. So if you love musical theater, these are some love songs from musicals that you can watch. That you can find those at musicinourhomeschool.com/love songs. And so I've included a video song from, let's see, Phantom of the Opera, West Side Story, Annie Get Your Gun, Music Man, The Sound of Music, and then there's 7 more. So 12 love songs. Those are really fun for Valentine's Day. And then my third post that I just posted today is Love Music, which is more classical music, but the beauty of the music makes you think of love. So it's musicinnerhomeschool.com/love music. And the 3 pieces I chose for that are Liebestraum by Franz Liszt. It's a piano piece, and Liebestraum means love dream. And then the second one is a romance by Beethoven, and it's really beautiful. The third piece is Serenade for Strings by Elgar. So those are 3 pieces of classical music that you may not recognize, and they're really beautiful, so you might want to start with those. The fourth post that I wanted to mention to you that will help you pick out some classical music to try with your kids is called 100 Classical Music Pieces All Kids Should Hear. And you can find that at musicinnerhomeschool.com/classical music. So all of these posts that I've just mentioned, those music lessons there are free. So you just head over to my website and you'll find those. Some of them include printables. I do have an online course site as well that has everything more organized and more material. And it is at learn.musicinnerhomeschool.com. And I have a 20% off sale going on right now with the coupon code I love you. One of the courses that I'd like to mention you might want to check out is called Learn Classical Music with Cartoons. So here is the last option that I had to make it really easy for you to include classical music in your homeschool, and it's to use it with cartoon videos, you know, like Bugs Bunny and Minnie Mouse, some of the graphic notation ones that have been more recently created make it so accessible and easy for kids to watch that maybe acting out a scene on the screen or the graphics with the different computer animation makes it really fun and easy to listen to the classical music. So that course you can find at musicinnerhomeschool.com/cartoons. So I would love to answer any questions you have about the best classical music or other options, ideas of how to include it in your homeschool. Or if you have an idea that I did not mention, please put it in the comments because others would love to learn some other ideas as well. So it's been fun talking to you today. Have an awesome weekend. Have a great Valentine's Day. And I hope you include music in your homeschool. Bye-bye.